Greetings and welcome to the Halloween edition of the Sliders Review. And I'm here today to talk to you about Scary Movie, the 2000 spoof horror movie. I can't believe I haven't talked about this yet. Like, I've briefly talked about this in like other videos, but never that of a review. So I was very shocked and surprised. And when I looked at my list of my videos, I was like, as I'm talking about Scary Movie 6, I haven't even talked about this one in detail. I can't believe it. So I remember when this movie came out in 2000, it was an instant hit. It was a huge favorite of mine. The sequels, not so much. Even Scary Movie 2, which is alright and everything and pretty funny, it's still just not as good as the first, in my opinion. And all the other ones, like 3, 4, and 5, are just horrible. So the movie was directed by Keenen Ivory Wayans. He is the one in the middle. And the one on the left and the right is Marlon Wayans and Sean Wayans, and they are the ones who wrote it. And yes, duh, they're all brothers. And so, they was coming off the Wayans brothers, television show that was on the WB that had just got canceled. And it's so funny how they reference it in, the movie to show their real feelings about how they felt about the WB and everything. This movie was just brilliant, and I mean brilliant and everything. Because like I told you before, Scream changed everything in the late 90s. Because of Scream, reinventing the horror genre and everything, a slew of copycat slasher movies came out, but also teen comedy movies started to resurface again, and spoof movies. There you have Scary Movie. This movie is credited for having 6 writers, but there's actually 4. The last 2 were added because of a strange reason. So you have Sean and Marlon Wayans, the 2 main writers. Then you have Buddy Johnson and Phil Buman. But then you have Joseph Feinberg and Aaron Seltzer. And they didn't even write that movie. But the thing about them is that they was writing a Scream spoof for Miramax. And so for whatever reason, the people in Hollywood just had them credited on the movie, which is strange and bizarre. And so Dimension Films is the one who had the rights to the Scary Movie franchise. And as we all know, because of what Marlon said, the Weinstein brothers stole the rights from them and everything, and then they decided to leave after Scary Movie 2. And we all know that Scary Movie 3, 4, and 5 are just not that funny. I don't care what nobody says, they're just not that great. They have their funny moments, yes, but they're nowhere as great as the first one. They just became generic spoof movies, which was something that was happening around that time. Epic movie, superhero movie, date movie. It was just atrocious around that time. The only other good spoof movie around that time, in my opinion, is Not Another Teen Movie, because it was written brilliantly and stuff. And so when the Marlins left, Anna Faris and Regina Hall, they stayed until they finally had the common sense to leave as well. And I'm hoping they will return for that of Scary Movie 6, because just like I reported just not too long ago, that Scary Movie 6 is in production and the Marlins have returned. And honestly, when it comes to Anna and Regina, nobody knew who they were until Scary Movie, especially Anna, because Anna, she graduated from college. She was gonna head to London for some reason, but then she decided to head to LA and audition for Scary Movie, and she won the role, which was her first acting job ever. So in a way, if she doesn't return for Scary Movie 6, is kind of gonna be a slap in the face because they literally discovered her, just like they discovered Jennifer Lopez. But there's no talks of who's gonna be in it, but I hope they be in it and everything. And so this movie really, really, really just like changed like the playing field of spoof movies around that time because spoof movies were just like non-existent, right? And so when I say this movie was written brilliantly, I mean, my God, it was written brilliantly and everything. Because the main two movies they parody is Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer, combining the two stories, and it just makes a lot of sense. You know what I'm saying? And it's kind of like, man, there at one point in time was gonna be a Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer crossover, but there's no way they could have made it to where both storylines would fit from the original movies because there's been so many sequels since. And the other movies that they parody, yeah, remember this came out in 2000 and everything. So like they parody, of course, Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, but also Halloween, The Shining, Friday the 13th, Usual Suspects. I'm trying to think what other ones. Blair Witch Project. What else did they do? Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Like there was just so many, right? And I mean there were so many. Oh, The Sixth Sense. And they even put in a little river dance and everything. Like I could not believe it. Oh, in The Matrix. I forgot about that. But like they took characters from like Scream, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and they combined those characters as well. And I just don't know how it just fits so perfectly, which makes sense because I Know What You Did Last Summer was a ripoff of Scream, even though it was based on a novel. They added the novel elements, but then they just threw in a slasher and stuff, and that what pissed off the original writer of like I Know What You Did Last Summer. I wish they would have parodied more slasher movies around that time, like Urban Legend, Valentine, Cherry Falls, but those weren't as popular as Screaming I Know What You Did Last Summer. Well, maybe Urban Legends and stuff. And I remember, I think it was Marlon that said that his brother Keenan, he already planned things out in advance because he said, in a couple of years, this is going to make its way to television. So there's going to need to be an edited version, right? And so they film, I believe, like, other snippets and like elements that would replace all the dirty words and slurs and stuff like that to make it more, and also like, the nudity that would, because there's barely any nudity. It depends on what exactly you're seeing. Because it's mostly just like prosthetics or a little booty here and there, but mostly just prosthetics, like that one like transgender man and stuff. And so like they made like a TV version, right? Now I've never seen the TV version because I own it on I own it on VHS at first, then later DVD, and so it was like, what was the point of watching it on TV? Nowadays, everything is much different. Nowadays, if you make a movie within a two month span, it will hit digital and everything. And I don't know how long it takes to reach television because television is almost non-existent now. And so like, and then of course, if a movie does terrible, it will hit like digital within like 2 weeks to like a month, like Joker 2 did. And so like, it does make me wonder now when they make Scary Movie 6, it makes you wonder what's gonna fly and what's not. Because, a lot of people keep saying, oh, this movie or television show in the past that had like a lot of raunchy humor It will never fly in today's modern world where, people don't want to be offended, and the Me Too era and the cancel culture and just everything that's happened since, like, the olden days and stuff. So it does make me wonder how much are they going to be able to get away with, and will people actually care? You know what I'm saying? But who knows and everything. And so, yeah, this movie was a element of its time. Like, a lot of the jokes that they make and words that they say and slurs just will never fly in today's world. I was okay with all the jokes and stuff, but I can see how nowadays people will be offended, like Miss Ma'am and everything. Like, okay, so the actress is a real life woman, biological in real life, right? And she's doing something. Well, the whole character just wouldn't fit in today's world because the the LGBT community does not like being offended or parodied, or or seen in a bad light. You know what I'm saying? So this character, Miss Ma'am, was born a man, had like, how do I know the character even had a sex change? They probably just put on fake boobs and were doing like the whole drag queen thing because their willy fell out the skirt. And you see it all and everything. And there it is. Like, you see the whole thing just dangling between the legs. And not only that, but like the character is constantly hitting on Cindy. And Cindy is an underage girl. And hitting on her in a very, very perverted way. And of course, the LGBT community does not like that and everything. They don't like seeing people parody drag queens or transgender people, and they don't like being seen as perverts. So a joke like that would not, float too well in today's time. So it makes you wonder how they're gonna make Scary Movie 6. And one of the problems I had with the original Scary Movie is, if you know me, then you know I hate racial slurs. So I hate hearing the N word, but the Wayans brothers love saying the N word and everything. And because Marlon says it's like a badge of honor, which I call BS on, but that's just me. And because I don't understand why my race feels the need to call themselves a slur. Like, I just don't. You don't see any other race do that, and I just don't get it. And now, because black folks constantly do it, now you got every other race wanting to do it as well. Mainly whites, mainly that of like the Hispanic culture, and every once in a while you'll see an Asian person do it. It's so annoying. But things that were clever in this movie were certain characters. Like, characters from Scream, I know what you did last summer, there was some characters that people felt, are they part of the LGBT community, or what did this line exactly mean? So you have Stu and you have Billy from Scream, and when they revealed themselves as the killer, you got Stu coming up behind him, like getting really close behind him, almost in a hugging, holding him kind of way. And people assume, could they be gay? Then you have, I know what you did last summer, Julie and Helen, when Helen said, like, what happened between us? We used to be friends. And Julie's all like, well, we used to be more than just friends. That whole line has confused people till this day. And the writer said it's just a line. It doesn't mean nothing. But if you're just friends and you're best friends, but somebody tells you we were more than just best friends, that signals that something might have happened between those two in a romantic kind of way. So the movie was clever to pick up on that and have like Bobby and Ray be like, gay and everything. But to have like Ray deny it because, it was that time. And then they had like, what was it? Buffy and Cindy. She talked about how, they did something sexual a long time ago at a party and stuff. And it's just kind of like, I get that reference and everything. So I do like how they was clever to pick up on certain little things that other like people have picked up on. And so when it comes to the characters, it's funny, like, the characters they combine. Some I didn't really see coming. And because the whole, like, Brenda thing always confused me. And so, like, you have Anna Faris, and she plays Cindy Campbell, which is, a spoof of that of Sydney Campbell and Julie James. Then you have that of you have John Abrams, and he plays Bobby. And Bobby is basically Billy Loomis, and that of Ray from, I Know What You Did Last Summer. Then you have Shorty Meeks. And just the last name alone is, of course, Randy Meeks. And then you have Brenda Meeks, his sister. Now, Brenda is Maureen from the second movie, Jada Pinkett Smith's character. And that of Carla from I Still Know What You Did Last Summer. And that's the one that threw me off, because I assumed maybe she was Tatum or something, because she has a rude attitude. But then, of course, there's Buffy, and she was also rude. But, like, the two Meeks, I'm assuming they're probably twins, you know what I'm saying? Which is ironic, because in Scream 5 and 6, we now have the Meek twins, Randy's niece and nephew and stuff. And so, like, you have Ray, who is basically Stu. I think that's all he is and stuff. And you have that of... No, I think he's Stu and Phil. Yeah, that's right. He's Stu and Phil. And Phil was played by Omar Epps from, like, the second Scream movie. Then you have Buffy Gilmore, played by that of, like... Oh, wait. So, of course, Shorty is Marlon Wayans. Brenda is Regina Hall. And Sean plays that of Ray. And so you have Buffy Gilmore, who is played by Shannon Elizabeth. And she is like Tatum and Helen. Then you have Lachlan Monroe as, like, Greg. He plays Greg, and so he's the Barry, like, spoof from I Know What You Did Last Summer. And so then you have Dave Sheraton. So Dave Sheraton, he plays Doofy. Doofy was awesome, man. Doofy is, of course, is a spoof of Dewey, but he's also the killer, and the killer is a slash Ghostface, and the fisherman Ben Willis. So it's basically Ghostface with a silly looking, like, goofy face on his face with the hook and everything, as opposed to a knife. The make, like, Doofy the killer was interesting, because people assumed Dewey hated his sister so much that maybe he could have been, like, the killer or something, And of course, Sherry Onteri plays that of Gail Hailstorm, which is a parody of, like, Gail Weathers and stuff. And Carmen Electra plays that of Drew Decker. And originally, Jenny McCarthy and Melissa Joan Hart was gonna audition, or they auditioned for the role of Drew. I think Melissa would have done a really good job, but Melissa would have looked too much like Drew Barrymore and probably acted too much like Drew Barrymore. Having Karma Electra in there, we all know why she got cast and everything and stuff, because, like, even though Melissa did have a wild streak and posed in that one magazine in her underwear and stuff, it makes you do wonder if she really would have done that for this movie, because she's not wild no more, and now she's just like the mom wife, you know what I'm saying? But it was just funny seeing Karma Electra do it, because Karma Electra is, of course, like a supermodel, former Playboy model. She was on Baywatch, not much of an actress, and she just, like, it was just, like, crazy to see her in that role. And so, like, Anna Faris, dude, when she played Cindy, no joke. I had no idea she was white. When she dyed her hair black, I'm all like, is she from like another country? Is she like Italian or something? I couldn't tell and everything. I had no idea she had blonde hair until she dyed it back for like the third movie and stuff. And so basically, the story just follows a group of teens driving around, getting drunk, and then they hit a man. Of course, I know what you did last summer. So they are like, we have to get rid of the body. They rob him, throw him in the water. And then 1 year later, I think on Halloween or something like that, all of a sudden, the person's all like, I know what you did last Halloween, and they dressed up as Ghostface. And so it just plays it out as it is, which, Gail and Doofus like falling for each other. Gail, oh my God, Sherry on Terry, boy, was just so mean as Gail. Like, I've never seen her act that way before. And so basically, they're trying to figure out like, well, all these like, the killers like killing them one by one and everything. And it sucks to lose the characters that we did. And, but unlike Scream, I know you did last summer, Cindy actually Brenda dies. Brenda dies in the most hilarious way, and like that whole movie theater scene, she really played it off as like the super like ghetto girl and everything, being loud, being irritating, and to where the killer didn't even have to kill her. It was the movie patrons that like killed her. And throughout the whole movie, you see her dating Ray. And you assume Ray is gay, but he's dating her because he's bearding her and stuff. So, of course, him and Bobby are like a thing. And when they reveal that they're not the killers, but they're just they're copycatting the killings of like, what's been going on, or TV shows or movies or whatever. And this is when he talked about like how pissed he was that his show, The Wayans Brothers, got canceled. And the Wayans Brothers show on the WB was hilarious. I reviewed like the first episode, and so like basically Marlon said that, 'cause, Marlon always does the interviews. You don't never see Sean or the other ones do interviews. And it's almost like Sean keeps a low profile and everything. Maybe that's why he's wearing sunglasses in that picture. But he said basically the WB used them to build up like, their network because they was new at the time and they didn't have no like program. So they created that. It brought in a black audience. And then once they got the audience they needed, they just canceled their show, and they didn't even have a finale episode because they didn't know they was getting canceled. So that was cool. They referenced that in like, the movie and stuff. But like back to like the killer, the Ghostface killer, the main character that lives, the final girl, Cindy, never knows who the actual killer is. He got away with it because nobody suspected Doofus or Doofy to like be the killer and everything. And so I always assumed that would build up to the second movie and finally it would be revealed, but then they went into a completely different route with ghosts and everything. And that just pissed me off. Yeah, the second movie's funny and they introduce a bunch of new characters, but I don't care. And so Scary Movie's one of those great classics, man. It's like it was ahead of its time. It was brilliant. It made a bunch of movie at the box office. My God. It made, how much did it make? It made 278 million on a budget of like 19 million and stuff. So hopefully they can recapture that same magic with that of Scary Movie 6. But now it makes you wonder, are they just going to do a reboot or a movie that takes place after the first one but disconnects like the rest of the movies, similar to the trend that most slasher movies are doing right now? Now wasn't that spooky? Alright, well I shall talk to y'all later. Bye.